All right, hey there, Jsixx. Since you can't attend daily molecular sessions since you work, I'm recording this video just to give you a hand in your JavaScript Kitchen Sink lab, just to clear up some of the stuff that I see in here. And hopefully watching this and digesting the information will help you keep on moving forward in your development career. So I know I've been helping you with functions, and I remember helping you with the end part of this lab. So what I have copied and pasted here is from your GitHub. It is your checkAge function. When you invoke it right here with the name John and the age 17. And then this is your friend array and then your loop. I want to help you fix some of this a little bit here. That way you understand what's going on underneath the hood. So this is what the app.js looks like. It's nothing that you haven't already seen because you coded it. So it's your code and I just brought it in for you. And then my index.html is just a very simple looking little page that brings in the app.js, and it has just some little default styling here that says, oh, hi, look at the console, because that's what we're looking at, because we don't really care about what's happening in the HTML page. We're working with JavaScript right now. So with this little thing here, if you check out on your right click, I don't know if you're on Mac or PC, but there are associated hotkeys. And once I discovered this in class, it was probably my most used hotkey, where you hit this little key right here, a format document, and it'll very nicely automatically fix spacing issues on all your JavaScript stuff. So the space I removed there, not necessary. It just helps things look organized and clean and keeps them easy to read. So that is not necessary, because you know that because your code worked. And so it's not required to do so for that as a refactor, but it does make it easier for others to come in and read. So with that done, let's go back to our page here and refresh. And if you notice, it does say, sorry, John must be 21 to view this site, and then it prints Steve 63, Yvonne 20, Bob 30, Pedro 19, Patricia 27. So you're console logging your friend's name and their age from an object inside of an array, and you're doing that correctly. And again, your invocation of checkAge, which is a function you wrote that takes a name and an age, which we run the assumption that name will be a string and age will be a number or an integer. And this is exactly what you do. You pass in the name John, so our alert will have the name John. Also, a great job using template literals here. That's really cool that you've already figured that out compared to string concatenation. And by that, I mean like something like in your console log or your alert, instead of doing something like sorry, space, and then plus, and then name, and then plus, and then must be. That's what I mean by string concatenation. You're still using the same JavaScript variable of name here, but you're doing it in line with these template literals. It's pretty cool that you already know that, because I figured that out late in the course and I could never look back to string concatenation, so good job. And then you pass in a number of 17, which is indeed less than 21, and it correctly console logs, you must be 21 to view this site. So if we put this to 22 as a test, it should not, after we refresh this page, it should not print out that alert, and we confirm that it doesn't. Cool. So for now, I'm actually going to comment that line out so it's not spamming us with alerts over and over again. And it looks like your checkAge function is running perfectly. So moving on to the second part of our array. I helped you construct this, and you've got it correct. You have an array, which is a JavaScript variable that is a list of items. And the list of items can be pretty much anything you want. And in this case, we have objects. So this is an array of objects, and our objects are all constructed the same. Each object is a position in the array, which you've already figured out how to console log down here. And each object has a key, a property of name, and a value of Yvonne, a property of age, the property of age and a value of 20, and so on and so forth. And you got that perfectly by doing this dot notation right here on the object. So you actually had this for loop written here, and JavaScript is running it, but it's not doing anything with it, right? You've created this iterating variable of I equals 0. It iterates for the length of the array, and it iterates by 1 every single time it goes through. So instead of having to console log all these like you currently have, let's comment these out. But we're going to leave them there so you can do some comparison on your own. You've console logged it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Well, that is a valid solution, but surely there's a way we can write this so it does the work for us, and there is. So I'm going to add these curly braces and give myself some space to code, which is something I like to do in general. And inside of here, we can actually execute something, which I believe you already figured out in your 99 lines code, as you have it console logging I. So let's just keep it really simple and just do that as well. We're going to console log I here, and that's all this is going to do. So every time this loop runs through an iteration, it's going to log I. So on our refresh here, we get 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Awesome. Well, hopefully you're already noticing a pattern here where I see you doing 4 or 5 console logs, increasing a number by 1 each time on both of these objects, right? So with that pattern here, why do this over and over again when we can have an iterating variable that does it for us? So with console logging I, hopefully you're seeing what I'm trying to get at here. I can act as our variable that we're passing in here. So let's check it out. Let's do friend array brackets, because that's how you access a position in an array, and you use the hard-coded 0, but instead let's use I, since we've already seen that I goes upwards for us, starting at 0 and going up to 4, which is the length of the array, or 5, which is the length of the array. 4, which is the length of the array, because it starts at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 5 length. 5 length, but 0 to 4 index spots. Cool, counting 0. So if we do friend array I dot name, what do we expect to see? The first, it'll start at 0, and then 0 will indeed be less than 4, and so it will console log friend array 0 dot name, which we expect to be Steve. And then it'll go to the bottom of this curly brace and go, is there anything else to run inside the loop? No. So we're going to do add 1 to I, and then come back here. And is 1 less than 4? It is. Cool. So let's go execute any code in here. Console.log friend array 1.name, which is Yvonne, is at the end of this for loop. It is. Add 1 is 2 now, less than 4. It still is true. It's less. Therefore, we're going to do friend array 2.name, which would be 0, 1, 2, Bob. So as you can imagine, what this one console log here is doing will say Steve, Yvonne, Bob, Pedro, and Patricia. And let's confirm that. Awesome. So now, check that out. I've taken all this code you have right here and essentially done it in one line. So now if I do friend array I.age, I have the exact same console log you have, except I've done it in one line inside of a loop instead of having to copy and paste it. Now imagine our friend array had 100 friends in it, 200 friends, 5,000 friends. You would not want to have to copy and paste this 5,000 times and manually write 0 to 4,999, would you? I wouldn't. So let's have a loop do the work for us. And classic, I got an error and panicked there for a second, but again, there's no need to panic. Even when I'm doing a demo, I'm not going to go back and refilm over this. We're going to just run with the error, because part of being a developer is being able to handle and debug errors. So it said friend is not defined. So I must have messed something up in my console logs. We have friend array, and here's where I messed up. I typed the word friend, which is not defined anywhere in this code. There's no variable called friend, let alone an array with an object called friend, right? So let's fix that real quick. I can't type. There we go. And now let's come back and refresh our code, and there we go. Now it's fixed and printing out the exact same console logs we had earlier, except we now did it in one line and we did it dynamically. So I'm going to actually add myself into this, so watch this. We're going to do name, Luke, and I'm actually 31 years old, so we're going to add that in there. So check this out. I'm not going to have to come in down and add another console log to accommodate this new addition into your friends array, which hopefully I am your friend for giving you a hand here. So now if we refresh our code, it dynamically adds the friend and my age there. So cool. This is now doing a whole ton of work for us just with one little line of code. So bringing this all back to your check age function. That's what you're trying to call here. Use the loop to call the check age functions for the above. Right now we're not calling check age. We're just console logging a friend name and a friend age for each position in the array that corresponds to your friends and their ages, including myself, what I added in there. But we're not actually invoking a function yet. Invoking it would be doing something like this. And you passed in a string of John and an age of 22. And if you notice, the parameter and the argument name and the argument age correspond to our console logs that we have right here in our code already. So I'll leave the console log there for now, and then I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, this for loop needs to call the check age function, which you defined up here and is available for use within this for loop right here. So if we call check age, and as you saw earlier, check age needs a name, which I'm going to copy this and paste, add a comma, and it needs an age, which conveniently we are console logging here. So I'm going to copy and paste. Cool. And so now not only should it console log each friend and age, we should get a check age function to return every single time it goes through this loop. And we should get anyone that's less than 21. So Yvonne and Pedro should be the only two alerts we expect to see. So let's give it a shot and check Check it out. There's Yvonne, there's Pedro, and the rest are above 21. So your function you've written originally is 100% correct. Your console logs here were one possible solution, but I'm showing you a cool way to use a loop to do the work for you. So hopefully this short little tutorial video gives you an idea of how to progress forward in your next lab, which I believe is 99 lines of code, which does use a loop. Matter of fact, it uses 2 loops. So as you're experimenting with that, hopefully this video helps you along your way, and let me know if I can help anywhere else. Thanks.